The lights of Hollywood Boulevard had never witnessed a night like this. What began as a standard late-night appearance quickly spiraled into one of the most shocking confrontations in television history. Millions tuned in expecting laughter, casual conversation, and the usual banter between a beloved host and a global superstar. Instead, they saw reputations shatter, secrets dragged into the open, and a career teeter on the edge of collapse. From the very first words exchanged, the tension in the air was undeniable. Viewers at home leaned closer to their screens. Something was different. Something was wrong. And as the interview unfolded, the world realized that one man had come prepared for war, while the other thought he was untouchable. By the time it ended, late-night television would never be the same again. The studio atmosphere was electric, but not with the usual anticipation of a celebrity guest. Whispers echoed among the production crew even before Johnny Depp stepped onto the stage. Fresh from his highly publicized legal battles, he had returned to Hollywood not just with a new film to promote, but with a renewed sense of control over his image. Yet behind the scenes, writers and producers had different intentions. According to one staff member overheard backstage, the plan was not to celebrate Depp's return, but to challenge it. They spoke of reminding viewers of who he really is. When Depp arrived, the usual warm welcome was replaced with hushed tones and watchful eyes. The weight of judgment hung over him. For the audience, it seemed like just another night of television. For Depp, it was clear from the start that this was going to be a fight disguised as an interview. His rings glinted under the stage lights, his demeanor calm but watchful. As though he already knew this was no ordinary conversation. When Jimmy Kimmel finally announced his guest, the enthusiasm in his voice felt forced. "Please welcome back Johnny Depp," he declared, while his smile strained under the weight of hidden intentions. The audience erupted with genuine applause, eager to see the star they had followed for decades. But the contrast was striking. While the crowd celebrated, Kimmel's body language betrayed discomfort. As Depp settled into his chair, Kimmel wasted no time. "Interesting to see you back on the publicity circuit," he began, his tone already cutting. Depp answered with grace. "Good to be here, Jimmy." But the host pushed further, twisting the knife with veiled references. "Is it though? After everything, the trials, the accusations, the audio recordings?" The words hung in the air like an accusation, silencing the audience. What should have been light-hearted chatter had instantly turned into interrogation. For viewers at home, it became clear this was not a conversation. It was a setup. Then came the moment that shifted the balance of power. After circling around the subject, Kimmel smirked and delivered his first truly sharp blow. "Let's address the elephant in the room. Or should I say the monster?" The room fell silent. Even the audience, primed for laughter, didn't know how to respond. Depp's expression hardened, but he did not lash out. Instead, he leaned slightly forward, his voice quiet but controlled. "If you have something to say, Jimmy, just say it." Encouraged by the tension, Kimmel doubled down, saying, "Fine, you got your verdict. But we all heard those recordings. We all know what kind of man you really are." That was when Depp uttered the words that would define the evening. "Say that again." His tone was calm, but underneath was an unmistakable edge. It wasn't just a request. It was a challenge. And the challenge would not go unanswered. Faced with the dare, Kimmel went further than many thought possible on live television. He looked directly at Depp and said, "An abuser who got away with it because he's famous." Gasps rippled through the audience. It was a statement that carried not only personal malice, but also legal implications. Depp, however, did not rise in anger. Instead, his response was chillingly composed. "You just defamed me on live television, after a jury of my peers found otherwise. That is legally actionable." His calmness only deepened the tension, as Kimmel dismissively shot back, "Sue me." Depp's reply was sharper still, "I might. But first, let's talk about what kind of man you are." The sudden reversal shifted the atmosphere entirely. The hunter had become the hunted. For the first time, Kimmel looked uncomfortable in his own chair. Depp wasted no time. He reminded Kimmel that while his own private life had been dissected publicly in court, the host remained shielded by the comfort of his platform. "How many times have the police been called to your house?" he asked. Kimmel paled instantly. "That's private," he muttered. "But my life isn't." Depp countered. He pulled out his phone and referenced a police report from 2018. A domestic disturbance. A matter of public record. The studio gasped. Kimmel protested, but Depp pressed on. The difference between us, Jimmy, is that I fought my battle in court. You hide yours behind jokes and settlements. Every word landed with precision. The power dynamic had shifted in real time, right before the eyes of millions. The audience, once unsure, now sat riveted as the balance of control swung entirely in Depp's favor. What began as a clash of words escalated into something much larger. After hinting at private matters, Johnny Depp moved to reveal what many in the room had never expected to hear. Calmly, without raising his voice, he stated that Kimmel's history was not as untarnished as the host liked to portray. He referenced not only a single police report, but a series of events whispered about within Hollywood circles. Depp revealed that there had been therapy sessions where Kimmel's wife left in tears, children who refused visits, and a marriage that ended with a restraining order. The words were not shouted. They were delivered with surgical precision, like facts being entered into evidence. Kimmel's attempts to interrupt were drowned out by the silence of an audience processing what they were hearing. But Depp was not finished. He added that backstage, his own conversations with staff had uncovered even more allegations of suspensions for inappropriate behavior, covered by the network, and non-disclosure agreements signed by female employees. These were not vague insinuations. They were specific, and they were devastating. In that moment, the power balance collapsed entirely. A comedian who had built his career on turning others into punchlines now found himself as the punchline, unable to recover. The atmosphere in the studio was no longer one of entertainment. It was raw, unpredictable, and almost dangerous. Gasps had given way to murmurs, and soon, outright disapproval. Some members of the audience booed, not at Depp, but at Kimmel. Security staff inched closer to the stage, waiting for a signal that never came. Yet Depp remained perfectly composed. He held up a hand to silence the crowd, saying that his goal was not destruction but demonstration. I am not here to ruin you, Jimmy. I am here to show you what it feels like to have your worst moments weaponized against you. The statement struck deep, cutting through the noise and landing with undeniable weight. What had begun as a late-night monologue had turned into a public reckoning. In the crowd, faces were conflicted, some shocked, some nodding in agreement. For perhaps the first time in his career, Jimmy Kimmel no longer controlled the room. The laughter that had always been his armor was gone, replaced with stunned silence and the creeping realization that his own secrets were now the storied as the confrontation reached its peak. Depp stood slowly, his presence towering over the moment. He turned not to Kimmel, but to the camera, addressing the millions watching at home. He declared that what had just been witnessed was an example of hypocrisy exposed, of a man in a glass house throwing stones. He accused Kimmel of years spent mocking others while hiding behind his own unresolved demons. Kimmel, visibly shaken, muttered for the attack to stop, but Depp pressed forward. "You did not stop when you tried to destroy me," he said. "I will not stop until you understand what that feels like." But then, in a surprising turn, Depp shifted his tone. Instead of driving the knife deeper, he offered advice. "Get help, Jimmy. Deal with your demons instead of projecting them onto others." I did. It saved my life. With that, he delivered one final remark, tying it all back to the reason he had come: promotion of his new film. It opens Friday. It is about redemption. You should watch it. You might learn something. The audience erupted into a standing ovation. The host, meanwhile, sat slumped, broken, and silent. Depp exited the stage without another glance, leaving behind a scene unlike anything late-night television had ever seen. The repercussions were swift and merciless. Within minutes of the confrontation, clips of the exchange flooded social media, trending across platforms worldwide. The phrase "say that again" became a rallying cry, repeated and remixed endlessly. But the true damage extended beyond memes. ABC, faced with public pressure, launched an immediate internal investigation into the allegations Depp had voiced. Staff members who had previously signed non-disclosure agreements came forward, emboldened by the public exposure. Their stories, long hidden, painted a picture of a workplace clouded by misconduct and cover-ups. The consequences were immediate. Major guests canceled appearances, advertisers pulled sponsorship, and Kimmel's wife, who had already been considering separation, filed that very night. Within 48 hours, the network suspended Kimmel pending the outcome of the investigation. For a man who had once seemed untouchable in late-night television, the fall was as rapid as it was brutal. Meanwhile, Depp's film, buoyed by public sympathy and admiration for his composure, opened to record-breaking numbers. What was intended to humiliate him had instead amplified his comeback in ways no marketing campaign ever could. The confrontation came to be known as the Depp destruction, and its consequences extended far beyond the careers of the two men involved. It reshaped the culture of celebrity interviews. No longer could hosts rely on ambush tactics or cruel jokes without fear of pushback. Depp had shown that with preparation and composure, a guest could not only survive an attack, but turn it back on the aggressor. In the weeks that followed, Kimmel entered rehabilitation for what was publicly described as exhaustion, but privately understood as mandatory therapy and anger management. When he eventually returned to television, he was subdued, cautious, and visibly changed. The sharpness that had once defined his style had dulled into something far more restrained. For Johnny Depp, the moment became part of his legacy, a powerful example of resilience and dignity under fire. Years later, he would reflect, "I did not go there to destroy him. I went to promote a film. But when he attacked me, I simply held up a mirror." He destroyed himself with his own reflection. The empty chair he left behind that night told the story more powerfully than words ever could. And the phrase, "say that again," became more than a moment of confrontation. It became a cultural reminder that accusations carry weight, and that those who hurl them must be prepared to stand by them.